Gone? I'll try it again. Good afternoon. It is afternoon now, okay? And welcome to the Valor Outreach Program and today's panel presentation. I, as Chancellor, am so delighted to welcome the Congressional Medal of Honor Society and Medal of Honor recipients to Knoxville and to our campus. We call this Rocky Top. And on Fridays, we wear orange. Most of us, unless we have another uniform we have to wear. We get to wear. People often ask me, what does it mean to be a volunteer? Like, what is that? And this is what I tell them. It means stepping forward in courage to serve and to lead. That's in every document we put out. It's part of what we think of ourselves as and what we want to live up to. So I can think of no greater example of that, of stepping forward with courage, than those who commit to serve their country. That service, that sacrifice has always been at the heart of who we are as Tennesseans. And it's actually how we got our name, the Volunteers. It is literally how we got our nickname. In 1846, when the U.S. Secretary of War asked for 2,800 volunteers to fight in the Mexican-American War, more than 30,000 Tennesseans answered the call. Every time I read that stated again, I get goosebumps. That's volunteers. Volunteers have always stepped forward to lead and to serve. In fact, so many of the values represented by the Medal of Honor are values we share as volunteers: courage, integrity, commitment, citizenship. All these folks, our students, express that every day. These are the values that make great leaders. So I am grateful today for the panelists who are going to share their experiences and their wisdom. And as we listen to their stories, I want for them to serve as a reminder of the courage that really exists in all of us. We just sometimes don't think it's there. So I want to thank the Medal of Honor recipients who've joined us today, as well as any other veterans. I see some friends here, veterans and service members in the room. I appreciate your service to this country. And at this time, I ask that you please stand for the presentation of the colors by the UT Army and Air Force ROTC Color Guard and the singing of the national anthem by Megan LeBeau.
March, left, 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 right. Color guard, hold. Left turn, march. Preset. Colors.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home
Right turn, march. Forward, march. Left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, 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 right, left, left.
Wow, I'm emotional. So, for two reasons. One, Megan, your voice is beautiful. And two, so proud to be a part of such a special moment and an honor to, it's an honor to meet each of you, and I look forward to hearing from you. Okay, let me get on script. My name is Amber Williams. I'm the Vice Provost for Student Success. I always say that I have one of the best jobs on the campus because my job is to support each and every one of our students here on our campus to ensure that they have the conditions where they thrive and they can graduate from this wonderful institution. And we just started a new academic year here at UT. And as always, it's a really exciting time and an exciting moment. It's so great to walk across campus and see all the smiles and the energy of a new semester. But it's also an honor to support and to welcome over 1,200 military-affiliated veterans, military-affiliated students here on our campus. We have our largest veteran class that just enrolled here on campus, over 200 of them enrolled on our campus, and they're supported by the amazing staff in the Veteran Success Center. But we also have, as you can see here, a group of very talented ROTC scholars that are on our campus as well. We have one of the best ROTC programs in the country that has won several awards. So it's also a pleasure to welcome our Rocky Top Battalion to this event as well. I know students, you all are busy, you have lots of competing priorities, but to take a moment out to learn from leaders, to learn from people who have gone above and beyond for our country and for the people around them is really special. So scholars, thank you for taking time out of your day to be here and to hear from our recipients. Today is an exceptional opportunity for our students to connect with veterans who know and understand their experience and can relate to the transition that our students may be going through. For this reason, we are grateful to serve as the host for today's program. I look forward to hearing from Master Sergeant Petrie, Captain Groberg, and Sergeant Major Williams. Now it is my honor to introduce to you our moderator for today, Courtney Cubey. Courtney Cubey is an NBC News correspondent covering the Department of Defense. She regularly breaks exclusive reporting on military operations around the world and foreign policy and appears across all NBC News and MSNBC programs. She will be receiving the Congressional Medal of Honor Society Tex McCrary Award for Excellence in Journalism this Saturday at the Patriot Gala. Also, I had an opportunity to chat with Courtney a little bit as we were preparing for today's program. And I will also say, I want to also just add that she is a working mother with children at home, young children at home, and also as another working mother that has a big job. We appreciate your time and we appreciate all that you do for us. So it is my pleasure to introduce Courtney Cubey.
Thank you very much, Dr. Williams. And I will say my youngest is 1 and doesn't sleep at all. So sometimes getting away for the events like this is sort of a blessing for me as well. It is such an honor to be here today, not only with these heroes who are sitting up on the stage with us, but also to see so many young scholars. I love that they refer to you as ROT scholars. It's just such a wonderful thing to hear. And the fact that so many of you showed up here today to hear this is really inspiring to me. It's such an honor to be here, and we are in the presence of some very special Americans today, these Medal of Honor recipients. Let me ask you, what series of events result in the awarding of such a medal? An act worthy of the Medal of Honor is a moment of valor that takes place on the battlefield and goes above and beyond the call of duty. to save lives of fellow brothers and sisters in arms. Because of this, these men are not winners of the Medal of Honor. They are the recipients. They are people who've acted in the line of duty with valor on behalf of their brothers and sisters who wear the medal for them. Very few Americans have been awarded the Medal of Honor. It's an extremely rare occurrence. Since the Civil War through 1991, over 40 million Americans have served in war. And of those millions of brave Americans, only 3,515 have received the Medal of Honor. Think about that. Out of 40 million, just over 3,500 have received it. Today, there are only 65 living Medal of Honor recipients. So think of how lucky we are that we have, actually not only 3, we actually have one in the audience as well. We have 4 of them here today with us. Yes. Which I'll take as my opportunity just to embarrass the one who's sitting in the audience today. This is Master Sergeant Earl Plumley. He just received is a recipient of Medal of Honor as of December of 2021, so just under a year ago for his actions of valor. Yes. In addition, we have up on stage with us retired U.S. Army Master Sergeant Leroy Petrie. He's a veteran of the War on Terrorism. For his actions on May 26, 2008 in Paktia province, Leroy was presented the Medal of Honor at the White House by President Barack Obama on July 12, 2011. He's an inspirational speaker living in the Washington State area, and he currently works for a consulting company, Mission 6 Zeros, and is the current president of the Congressional Medal of Honor Society. Next to him, on the other side, is retired U.S. Army Captain Flo Groberg. He's also a veteran of the War on Terrorism. For his actions on August 8, 2012 in Asadabad, which is in Kunar Province, Afghanistan, Flo was presented the Medal of Honor at the White House, also by President Barack Obama, on November 12, 2015. He currently leads the Mission Expansion Team for Azure Government Mission Engineering and resides in Texas. And we have U.S. Army Sergeant Major Matthew Williams, currently still active duty, and also a veteran of the War on Terrorism. For his actions on April 6, 2008 in Shak Valley, which is in Nuristan province in Afghanistan, Matt was presented the Medal of Honor at the White House by President Donald J. Trump on October 30th, 2019, and he's currently assigned to 3rd Special Forces Group Airborne at Fort Bragg in North Carolina. So just one quick bit of housekeeping before we get started. I just ask everyone to please silence your phones if you haven't already done so. We're going to do a couple of questions, and then we'll open up the floor to audience questions. Just one, we ask that the media in the room to turn off your camera and recording devices during the Q&A with the audience so that we can have sort of an open and free flow of communication. This means you can report on the event, and you can get B-roll footage and everything, but just do not include the actual discussion or the content of the discussion. If there's any questions, there are plenty of people here who can talk to you about that, who are smarter about it than I am. And let's get started. You're right next to me, so you're going to get the first question. Sorry.
I'm happy. Get it out of the way.
Victim number 1. Okay. One thing that I think that is just really embodies all 4 is just of resilience. Resilience in your time in service, in your personal lives, throughout your entire life. And I think that might be something that the audience here today, especially so many. Right? Oh. I do project, but not that well, I guess, sometimes. So many of the faces in here, I think resilience will probably be a part of your time in uniform and something that you will face. And I think that could be very valuable to hear from our recipients up here today. So I guess if you could start by giving me a picture of sort of the environment that you grew up in, and maybe were there any individuals in your community, in your upbringing, that have played a big role in your life and that may have helped you in your ability to be resilient and to come back from difficult times?
Wow. So that's a long question.
I told you were first victim,
yeah,
sorry.
You're right. Resilience will be a part of your life. It already is. You probably haven't seen it, but we all face adversity. hard times, and you can't have resiliency without facing adversity. You can't read about it, you got to experience it. You have to get knocked off the horse. But the thing that helped me, I grew up with four brothers. We didn't have all the technology of today, so we were out playing with sticks and you name it, hurting each other. And one of us was always ending up with stitches or staples. And wasn't easy on my mom. I don't know how she did it. But I look at everyone in my life, and everyone impacted me and helped me be resilient, because you're never alone in this world. From the day you're born till the day you pass away, there's people out there that have supported you since you were born, who taught you. I didn't get myself off the battlefield. I didn't go through recovery alone. There was people all around me supporting me. Just like my parents supported me for when I was a kid, taught me how to feed myself, bathe myself, and like my teachers in school taught me, throughout your life, you're going to have leaders, peers, mentors, and it's your job to recognize those folks and balance out what's going to help you be successful. Sometimes it's the hard right over the easy wrong. And those people will guide you. Surround yourself with good people. Ask lots of questions. That's what's going to guide you to be resilient. Talk to those people that have faced severe adversity. Hopefully none of you have to face anything we had to, but prepare yourself mentally to be faced with that. A lot of times we ask young men and women to go into harm's way and to do things or see things that no human should ever have to do or see. And we can't expect them to come back and not talk about it or not share if it's affecting them. So take care of yourself mentally. Be prepared. Know that you could go into an extreme situation, but it's no different than you could experience PTSD going down the street and seeing a severe accident right in front of you. Our law enforcement, our medical people, they see trauma all the time. And so just know that it's a reality. It's not video games, it's life. Life is dangerous. And a lot of people don't make it to a late age because there's so many hazards in this world that can kill you. But don't live your life in fear. Be courageous. Go out there and experience life. Live it. But be smart.
Be courageous, and be smart. Flo, I wonder the same question to you. I mean, can you talk a little bit about the environment that you were brought up in, and anyone who had an impact on you, and sort of some advice on resilience when you look around this crowd?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for this great introduction. And to piggyback a little bit on Leroy's comments, I think resiliency is an interesting one because we all face it, right? You don't have to wear a uniform. You don't have to be a police officer. It's face it in life, part of life. And I grew up. I was adopted. My niece is here. My half sister is her mom, and I was adopted. I came from France. I didn't speak English. I was 12 years old, so I had a lot of life experiences that really shaped the person I am today. But one thing that I did learn from that one individual, which is my dad, in regards to who I am today, is the fact that go do things, go make decisions. If you fall on your face, get back up and learn from it. That's the best and simplest thing I've ever learned. Don't be afraid to go out there and take a risk, just because of the potential, case of failure. I've learned more, and then this is something that you're going to hear this throughout your life, and we all have heard it, whether you're 19 years old or 51, who looks like 35. But the idea is that some of your best lessons are in your most biggest losses. And so that's my case and who I am today. But I think I'll sit there.
And Matt, I also want to ask you to look forward a little bit, and because you're in still in active duty, and you're now in a position to help shape some younger minds in the military. So I wonder if you could talk a little bit again about your background, but then also how you have been able to use your experiences in the military to help others to prepare for whether it's a life in service in the uniform or even in a transition.
Yeah, briefly, my upbringing was, my dad taught me everything about hard work, integrity, resiliency, those kind of things, and being a leader, not a follower. And I grew up in a small town in Texas, and he really built. I had a job as soon as I kind of legally could, and had responsibilities, all those kind of things. And those are the kind of things as a kid that you look back on and wonder, why am I doing this? And now as a father and a relative grown up, I see what the method behind the madness was there, so I attribute that 100% to him in the way that I was raised. But moving forward in my current position, I have the unique opportunity to help train and select a new U.S. Army Green Berets. And I've made my way through my career as a team sergeant, a company sergeant major, and a future battalion CSM command sergeant major. And the one thing that I stress, and I've always stressed, and I learned this at a young age as a Green Beret, was just like Flo said, failure is a must, right? No one's ever learned anything by being successful all the time. And I think the thing that's the most daunting, especially for high achievers, folks like you that are at a major university, is that fear of failure. But that's how you learn to be resilient. Resiliency is bouncing back from failure and continuing on. And if you don't tempt yourself or test yourself in those positions, you'll never actually learn to be resilient. And I think that's one reason we see so many issues these days, because young people specifically are afraid to fail, but you have to do it, right? The mission that I'm wearing this medal for was a relative failure. I'll be frank about that. We went into a position and it didn't go our way, but we were back out on an operation within 3 weeks, with half my team in the hospital. And that was stressed upon us immediately. Our company sergeant majors like, I got to get you guys back out there and back on the horse, or else we would stew in that moment forever. And it's hard to come back from that. That's something something I've used throughout my career, especially training young folks, is we're going to push you to the brink of failure, and I hope that you do, because it's a lot easier to fail in training than it is in the real world. And that's kind of my philosophy behind resiliency and how to build it.
There have been a lot of recent stressors that the world has had to deal with, a global pandemic for the last 2+ years. But there's also things that I think a lot of people in this room probably face on an almost daily basis: changes in your social life, changes in your family life, overall family stressors, the economy. So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about some of these more recent stressors and maybe how they may have impacted some of you, and give some more ways that you might be able to deal with them. And Matt, I'm wondering if I'll start with you this time. If if you think it's different still being on active duty versus not being in uniform, having sort of the military support system around you.
It's been different, but we've all had to deal with the same things, right? And every one of these obstacles, everything that you just mentioned, to me, it's an obstacle, right? And you can look at those things a couple of different ways. I choose to look at those as an opportunity to overcome something challenging, an opportunity to solve a problem, create a solution to something that may seem daunting. There's always a solution. If you focus yourself on moving forward and finding a solution to the problems that you face, you're going to continue to move forward. If you sit back and, woe is me and everything, all these bad things are happening to me, why me, why me? That negative outlook on life will never let you get anywhere. Bad things happen. It's terrible, it's tragic, but you have to keep moving forward and find a way to do that. And I frame that as solving problems and overcoming obstacles, the way that I like to look at that problem set.
Well, how about you? I mean, how have some of the more recent stressors and things that people in this room are probably facing all the time? I mean, how would you recommend that they go about coping with those, and what are some of the ways?
Well, one, they're annoying. These stresses are. But two, I just kind of keep it simple. So everything I've done in my life, I keep it simple. The world's been ending since mankind was created. Think about that. There's always a negative that we always tend to focus on. And so if you're driven by the negative, unfortunately, you're going to go have some issues. So and what I look at it to me is always trying to find a positive and negative situation. So when I lost 4 of my guys, Command Sergeant Griffin, Major Gray, Major Kennedy, and Reggae, and my career was ended in the military, and they told me I had to leave, it was an interesting concept for me because it's all negative. I needed to find a positive. And so I really focused on what was the one thing that I learned from. And I learned a lot about me. I learned a lot about love and love of brotherhood and sisterhood. And most importantly, I was just appreciated that I even had the opportunity to serve. That, as an immigrant, I had the opportunity to lead and be led by some of the finest men and women. And so I focused on that, and that helped me get through that negative situation. And the other piece, when I look at, I'm very focused on the economy and what's been happening, and obviously climate change for me and things like that. When I look at, okay, well, what can I do in my direct environment to create a positive impact? I'm not going to change the economy. I sure as hell, I'm not going to save our world with climate issues, right? But I can be an advocate, right? I can be more intelligent. I can educate myself so that I can understand what are the courses of action. I can associate myself with different specific groups that are doing more, instead of just sitting back and just taking it in and being angry. That does nothing for you. You don't go into combat angry. You can be angry, but when you're in a tactical situation and operational, you put that anger, you settle it down, and then you become a professional. If not, people are going to die on your watch because you're going to make bad decisions. I think you guys understand that very clearly with your backgrounds. And so I've just taken that lesson learned from the military and that lesson learned from growing up and playing sports and all that stuff and just apply it to my day-to-day life. And I simplify it, right? And, I try to focus on what's in front of me. And me, it's my wife, a future kid, my family, my friends, my community.
How about you? I mean, and you're in a pretty different spot. You've got a bunch of grown kids, which can be a stressor in and of itself, right? And it's, I mean, what are some of the ways that you, and I guess maybe, I mean, even with your family, how is it that you deal with some of just the daily stressors?
Oh boy. I will say that I kind of look at it like through my recovery. When I first got injured, it was like hitting a brick wall. You're like, oh, great. What now? They're going to push me out of the Army. How am I going to play sports with my kids? How am I going to get a job to support my family? I'm missing my arm. I'm shot through both my legs. I don't even know what all these thoughts start going through your mind. Kind of like what you say with COVID, where great, now they want to shut down everything and everybody stay home. It's a shock. And I sat there and all these thoughts started going through my mind and started feeling a little bit sorry for myself. And I watched a movie, and this is what popped in my head was this movie that I loved, Shawshank Redemption. Get busy living or get busy dying. And like Flo said, I like the slogan, Make America Great Again, but it doesn't start at executive level. It starts in our communities, us being better neighbors, better citizens, helping one another out, and making the place we live better. And hopefully everybody else around our country does the same. And when we travel, we go to good places. I know being here, it's amazing. I got to go back and work on where I live some more. But yeah, it's what you make of it. Don't let things shed fear into your eyes because they're hard. Sometimes we have to do hard things. Sometimes we have to suffer a burden to get to the next phase of our life.
I want to open it up for questions, but before I do, I just want to ask each of you, when you were sitting, I'm going to say that about 18 years old, did you think you were going to go into the military? Did you think you'd make a career of it? Did you ever think that you'd be where you are today?
Yes, I wanted to go in since I was 7 years old. My mom's cousin was deployed, Desert Storm or Shield at the time when I was young, and I started asking the questions. Why is he going overseas and risking his life for people that we don't even know? What would cause somebody to do that? And then I started to learn the answers of he wasn't doing it just for the people overseas. He was doing it for us here at home, protect us. And I started realizing I didn't start taking things for granted. I started appreciating things around me, that everything I was given, my parents, my life, teachers, like I said, all those things. I said, somebody sacrificed for me. My freedoms, my rights, my way of life. I had gone down to, I think it was Juarez, Mexico, a few times. I grew up in New Mexico and wasn't far, and I knew what a third world country looked like. And Afghanistan, when I got there, I was like, holy cow, what do they categorize this as? But going other places in the world, seeing the struggles, that opened my eyes that I should be thankful. And I want to give that back to the next generation, just like somebody gave it to me. A lot of times we feel entitled in this country because oh, these are my rights, this is my rights. But a lot of times, a lot of people don't do anything to show appreciation to people that gave them those rights, to earn those rights. They just feel entitled simply because they're born here. There's a lot of people, you see it, crossing deserts, swimming across bodies of water, stowing away on ships. You saw it in Afghanistan, people clinging to an aircraft, flying away just so that they could get an opportunity to try to set foot in our country. And we got to love it because not take it for granted. And the more young men and women, I hate to say it, well, you all know, recruiting's down. And I'm not a recruiter, but I know that America will always ask for its sons and daughters to defend those freedoms, rights, and way of life. And if we do not continue to have those volunteers, we risk losing it. There's a lot of bad people in this world. Their hands on nukes and crazy stuff that can happen any moment. We need to have those people to stand up.
Well, how about you? Did you ever see yourself as the Army? When you were
Yeah, I'll keep it simple because it's a simple story. I knew since I was 12 years old I'd be joining the military. My uncle was killed by a terrorist organization called the GIA, predecessor Al-Qaeda. So when I was naturalized as a U.S. citizen in February of 2001, and then 9/11 happened 7 months later, it was easy decision for me. And I figured here I am as a new citizen, and my country is attacking at war. It's my duty as a citizen. Well, and it's a call. So earn the right to call myself an American.
Matt?
I know. I did on purpose. That was really good.
So I didn't know exactly how to join the military, but I always knew that I was going to serve in some manner. I went to college, did a degree in criminal justice, and my path was, my mind, going to be as an FBI agent. And then 9/11 happened, and that changed everything, right? It opened my eyes to the need to serve, like Flo mentioned. It was immediately obvious that my duty and my willingness to serve had just changed its path. And that's where I really started looking deep into what the military had to offer and what programs were available. And I was fortunate and chose the United States Army Green Berets 18 X-ray program and got to try my hand at selection, was successful. And that was going to be a 5-year resume builder, frankly. And then I was still going to be an FBI agent. And then I'm hitting 17 years this month, so didn't work out quite as planned. But the reason I'm still in, though, is because the people I met and the things I've gotten to do and the camaraderie I've built, it's not like any other place on earth. The military is something truly special in that manner, and it's kept me in, and it's kept me enjoying what I'm doing. So I'll be around for a little while.
I want to open it up to questions. I think there's some microphones somewhere around here.
You were going to pick Richardson, right?
Richardson, you're the first one. I know that for a fact.
Yeah, you failed the joke test, so you got to go.
You're good. Whatever his name is. You don't have a name tag. He's not good anymore.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gentlemen,